What a fucking win. Seriously, what a fucking win. Sorry for the language. Excuse my French, but I'm going to do a couple of victory laps here. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mack. Man, tonight you could not have started the season in any better fashion. A wild game, a wild finish in Brooklyn. Cavs winning by the score of 114-113. And we got to see a lot of shit tonight, man. We got to see Strus. As y'all all sitting here saying the Strus is loose. Yes, this motherfucker dropping threes everywhere, just looking like the sharpshooter we all knew that he could be. Hit the most triples in a Cavalier debut ever. I believe that's what they said. 7 on his way to, I believe, 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 assists with a steal and a block on 9 of 17 from the field, 7 of 13 from three-point range, 2 of 2 from the line. What more can you ask for from a guy like Mack Strus, who a lot of people were complaining about, hey, this is our prized free agent acquisition. This is our the prize acquisition in the offseason. Well, yes, this is what the fuck he can do for you. So I hope you guys got a good taste of that. And there's a lot more of that to come. Obviously there's a few caveats to throw in there. We don't quite know what things are going to look like once Jared Allen comes back. We don't know how much spacing is going to be out there, but I must say I enjoyed what I saw. Evan Mobley playing some minutes at the 5, got kind of an odd lineup tonight with Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus, Isaac Okoro starting once more, and then Evan Mobley at the 5. And speaking of Isaac Okoro, I just want to say to all these fans out here, all these people are saying, well, we don't see any improvement from Isaac Okoro. Isaac Okoro is still bricking shots. Isaac Okoro is still hitting shots off the backboard. Guess what? It's not just the three-point shooting that he brings to the table. It's never been that. Guy's been pigeonholed and placed into a spot since day one, where the Cavs penciled him into the position of 3 and D wing, playing out of position. And guess what? He played out of position tonight, and he excelled. If you don't see the improvement, and I'm sorry, people accuse me of being a fanboy of Okoro. He's 22 fucking years old. Let that shit sink in. He is 22 years old. Not everybody's development is linear. People are not going to excel and grow at the same rate. Now, I know we live in a society that's, I want it now. I want everything now. Everything's microwave. That's just not the way that everybody develops, honestly. Some people are late bloomers. And tonight, Isaac Okoro at least showed what he can bring to the table. 18 points, 6 boards, 4 assists. He was really moving the ball pretty well whenever he was attacking closeouts. And that's something that I think we all wanted to see out of him, a little bit more aggression. And you saw that tonight. 6 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from three-point range, 4 of 5 from the line, 1 block, 2 steals. What more can you ask of this guy? Seriously, what more does Isaac Okoro have to do to get a little more respect from fans? Yes, he has consistency issues. A lot of times he'll have a game like this, and then he'll follow it up with a game that's a little more on the lackluster side. But excuse me, he is in a contract year. He's motivated. He has less pressure to space the floor on him with all the perimeter spacing around him now. Isaac Okoro is probably going to give us his best season yet from an impact standpoint. Now, the one thing that I maintain, the one thing that I'll keep saying is you don't quite know what it's going to look like from a statistical standpoint each night for Isaac Okoro, but he is going to be impactful. He's going to give you good minutes when he's out there. Maybe he's not the wing or the 3 of the future for the Cavs, but he's a damn good player, a damn good role player to have. To this, I'm just going to say this one last thing before I move on. So fucking what if he was drafted at 5th overall? People need to let that shit go. Just let it go. It was in a weird draft. The evaluation of those players in that draft, it was all over the place. That's why you see some of these guys who were drafted later on in the draft receiving these massive deals. And people missed on a lot of these guys. Your Desmond Baines, your Tyrese Halliburtons, players like that. Who the fuck cares? Yes, he was drafted that high, but that doesn't mean he can't be a valuable player. Just like Black Shook says down here, 10 points a game from Okoro any day. And he's perfectly capable of giving you that. It just depends upon how the Cavs are going to allow him to operate. Is he going, obviously, he's going to be off ball, as you know, he's been that way for most of his career. But as long as he's attacking out in transition with this fast paced offense now, and he's not afraid to pull, to pull whenever there's not a defender around him, or whenever he's left open enough to take a 3-point opportunity. As long as he's doing those things, he's going to put up points. He's going to be impactful in other ways. And he's still the Cavs' best point of attack defender. Make no mistake. He still does all of these things. So all I know at the end of the day is y'all need to put some damn respect on my boy's name, because he's not as bad as you guys point him out to be. He's just not. Isaac Okoro and Max Strus were not the only players to ball out tonight, though. That distinction goes to Donovan Mitchell as well. Hit the game, basically the game-winning triple, right? As I'm sure you guys saw, if you follow me on Twitter, people are already calling him out for potentially missing a game-winning shot. Man, shut the fuck up. Just let the guy play. Let him take the shot. That's what he's there for. You want to close you like that. And guess what? He closed the damn deal tonight. He shut the door on the Brooklyn Nets. You'll love to see it. First Cavs road victory. And I think they said 23 years. 23 years. And yes, Tune In Sports 1 got that clutch steal. Donovan had 4 steals tonight. Now, we know that coming into the league, this dude was a noted defender, but he just hasn't quite played out that way for the duration of his career. He can play defense. He's always had the ability to play defense. And JB Bickerstaff, for all the shit that he's taken, the one thing that we know that this man can do is coach up a damn defense. We know that he can get the most out of his players on the defensive end. That's why he can take a guy like Karis LeVert, who has the intangibles, right? You got the length, but you never quite put on tape the fact that you're a good defender until last season, where Karis LeVert became one of the most versatile defenders that the Cavs had. Donovan Mitchell, at his size, he's going to be defensively limited in what he can do in terms of impact from a positional standpoint, but he still can be a damn good defender. Pretty good showing for him tonight on both ends of the floor. You do not win that game if Donovan Mitchell isn't playing hard on both ends of the floor. We know that's a JB Bickerstaff specialty. So I don't know what more you could ask of these guys, man. I'm so fucking proud of this team. A lot of expectations coming into this season. You didn't have Jared Allen in your starting lineup. Dean Wade was ill, so he was out. And then your rotation is still pretty deep here. You went 9 deep tonight. JB played 9. He wasn't kidding. He gave guys the opportunity to go out there and impact the game for however long they were out there. And we know it was not all sunshine and rainbows. There was a couple of things tonight that I took issue with, i.e. Damian Jones. Damian had what I deem to be a solid preseason, but obviously kind of getting pressed into action a little bit more and probably earlier than we would have hoped, because obviously Jared Allen and Dean Wade missed tonight's game. So it's, for me, Damian Jones put some things on tape where you can look at and say, hey, you need to fix that. You need to clean that up. But some of it was the refs. I don't know if it was just me and, call it an excuse or whatever, but the whistle just did not feel like it went the Cavs' way tonight. Case in point for me is Donovan Mitchell, 1 attempt from the free throw line. Darius Garland, 2 attempts from the free throw line. Our leading charity stripe guy tonight was Isaac Okoro, honestly, 5 attempts. So the whistle just did not feel like it was going the Cavs' way. And 23 personal fouls tonight on the Cavs to the Nets 16. You cannot tell me that some of those were all of those were good calls, because I just honestly don't believe they were. Honestly, it's crazy to me that the Cavs were still able to walk away with victory after. Yes, they were flopping. Yes, Tune In Sports, they were flopping. But it just goes to show that sometimes that style of play and drawing fouls, it just doesn't always work out for you, right? Cleveland still managed to pull this game out off the back of a good defensive effort when it mattered. And you know what? When you're talking about defense, sometimes Offense is just better. And when I say that, Cam fucking Thomas, 36 points off the Brooklyn Nets bench in 25 minutes. Jeez. Sometimes it didn't matter who you were throwing at him. It really did not matter which defender was out there. I saw a couple of plays where he just straight up threw the shot up. That shit went in. Pissed me off. But you just tip your cap to that. And obviously, Cam Thomas, if you guys want to know a crazy stat, Cam Thomas led them in shot attempts tonight off the bench by a pretty wide margin. 21 field goal attempts for Cam Thomas. The next closest player was Michael Bridges with 12. And that's insane to me. And just the level of impact he had from a shot making standpoint. And, just as an outside observer, I got to say, I really, really hope Cam gets a good line share of those bench minutes for the Nets as the season goes on, because I'm actually quite the fan of him. I believe that he can be a very, very, very good talent off the bench. And, Cleveland, obviously, I guess the closest player that we have to that is Karis LeVert, right? And Karis LeVert is probably a little bit more well-rounded in terms of how he can impact the game. But you just got to tip your cap to a player that's able to score 36 goddamn points off the bench. That's just insane to me. Overall, feeling really, really, really good about game one. Some things that Cavs obviously have to clean up, but I mean, in a night where you didn't have your full complement of players around you and you still manage, yeah, dude is definitely a bucket getter. But on a night where you don't have your full outfit, you feel good about this win, especially coming up against a pretty scrappy opponent in the Nets. And, I don't know if they're going to be a playoff threat at all, but what I do know is that they're not going to be an easy out. We saw that in their games last season. Usually it came down to the wire a few times. And I know we cannot forget Isaac Okoro's game winner last year. That was probably one of the happiest moments in the game that I've ever seen in my life, just because I root so hard for the kid. But man, something about these game winners in Brooklyn, right? Donovan Mitchell doing it again tonight, and Isaac Okoro coming up big again. And that's just so many good takeaways, but perhaps none bigger than the play of one Max Strus, who again just absolutely lit it up in his time tonight, in his 39 minutes or so. And I got to say, I was highly impressed with the team defense that was played tonight. And Max Strus actually played a very good role in that. Moved around defensively pretty well, played a lot of zone, was up in guys' face. Yes, Dr. Claw, Max Strus is the real deal, man. I'm really, 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 really amped about this acquisition, and hopefully to those people, the Jetty Osman fan club, guys like that. No disrespect to any of them, and no disrespect to Jetty and Lamar, but that was obviously the right move to make, right? The guy started on a finals contender last season and had one of the highest contest rates for triples last season in the entire NBA. I believe he was in the 7th percentile for contested triples last year, which, if you're just strictly looking at the 3-point percentage, it's still probably damn good that he made 35% of those during the regular season, considering the level of play and level of contest that the defense was throwing at him. And he brought that to the table tonight. And the one thing that I always try to get people to realize in terms of shooting is this not, especially perimeter shooting, it's not just the fact that this man can knock down the three. It's the simple fact that he generates gravity, right? He pulls the opposition out of the paint and he allows the drivers, guys like Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Karis LeVert, to knife inside. So Max's gravity is real, right? And we knew that coming into this season, but you just didn't quite know how it would play out because he didn't shoot entirely well in preseason. I think he shot like around 31% in preseason, if I'm not mistaken. But to come out of the gate and knock down 7 triples, that's a hell of a start. That'll endear you to the fans. I'll tell you that right now. I already got good news today where Cleveland Brown, Myles Garrett bought a minority stake in the Cleveland Cavaliers, becoming a brand ambassador. He's endeared himself to Cavaliers fans if he wasn't already. And I myself, you guys know me if you've been following me for a while, I'm not a Browns fan. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but I got to say, to have the support of another professional ball player that's in the city, that's damn cool. And for a guy to actually buy an ownership stake in that franchise, that's awesome. That just I'm a fan of players that invest in the towns that they play in. That's pretty awesome. I know that was kind of off script there, but to me, the point is he has endeared himself to Cleveland fans, and Max Struess's performance tonight has done the same thing, right? We don't care what you say. We don't care what the media availability sessions are. We care. Yes, you can. Dr. Claus, you can buy a Miles Garrett jersey from the Cavs shot. I encourage anybody who's a Cleveland Browns fan to go ahead and do that. That's pretty dope. I might cop one myself. I bought a couple of things from the Cavs team shop today, so I need to slow it down. But I think I'm gonna cop one myself. But yeah, Tune in. I heard that. Very, very cool. I've never had that happen. Amani, one of the things about Amani Bates is that he's been very, very interactive with Cleveland social media. And it's not just me, obviously, but I found that to be really awesome because he actually pulled whoever made that video for him actually pulled a clip from one of my videos. And I thought that was really fucking awesome because you just don't expect to see that until somebody points it out to you. And for me, you guys know me. I've been a big supporter of the kid. I'll continue to do that. I would have liked to see him play tonight, honestly, but probably for the best in this type of environment. That said, yeah, Monty has a real big future. I really, really probably going to watch a lot more Cleveland Charge games this season. I hope you guys will too, to keep an eye on his development. But man, this just goes to show that this team has a bright future ahead of it. And one of the biggest storylines of this offseason, obviously, was the Donovan Mitchell extension. And we knew, I mean, anybody with half a brain knew that Donovan Mitchell was not going to sign on the dotted line, or not going to allude to it until he saw how this season played out. And that's honestly from a player standpoint, right? I can understand that. I get it. Obviously, we want him to be here long term, but I understand why he might kind of want to see how things are playing out, see what direction we're heading in, and whether or not we can take another leap. And performances like tonight, when you have the surrounding talent, guys who are not necessarily stars, but role players, and showing out and coming up big alongside you, that'll go a long way, in my opinion, in convincing him to stay. Now, obviously, as Black Suge says down here, do you think he'll stay? Honestly, yes, I think he will. I know a lot of the rumors out there that he still prefers to be in New York, and I get that. Those rumors are never going to die, right? But the one thing that we can rest assured of is that Cleveland is not going to trade him to New York. And if Donovan is moved at any point in time, if it is well known to the organization, if Donovan alludes to them that he is not long for Cleveland, trust and believe they're not going to send him to New York. They're not going to send him within the conference. They'll trade him out of the conference like most of these big time stars get. But I say all that, and at the same time, I truly do believe that Donovan Mitchell will resign here. What will that take, you ask? Well, for me, honestly, I believe it's going to take, at the very least, a series win and then a very competitive second round, if not a second round victory, right? If these Cavs get to the Eastern Conference Finals, Donovan Mitchell's signing on the goddamn line. There's no fucking way you can tell me that the Cavs make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or close to it, right? Like, you take a contender like a Milwaukee or a Boston to 7 games. You can't tell me that Donovan Mitchell is not going to resign here. We can offer him the most money. We don't necessarily have location, right? Cleveland is not looked at as one of the glamour destinations in free agency, but shit can change. Players talk. We saw what Kevin Love was able to do in regards to getting Max Strus here. And a lot of people were shitting on Kevin, walking out the door, requesting a buyout. Look, I get it. For me, myself, I'm not going to absolve myself here. I thought Kevin Love was absolutely done, had nothing left to offer Cleveland, and I was okay with the buyout. And then obviously, he got to play in the NBA Finals. Didn't necessarily play well, but he still advanced further than Cleveland did, right? So I'm happy for him. But the parting gift that he gave us was words of wisdom words of advice and wisdom to Max Strus on Cleveland. Like, it's a good organization, it's a good place to play. So players talk, and the more success that you have in a city, the higher the chances are that you can attract star level talent. Will you ever be able to compete with the New Yorks, the Miamis, the Los Angeleses of the world? Probably not. We're a small ball club, right? Small team, small market, whatever you want to say. But in my opinion, this still represents the best place for him, the best opportunity to grow alongside, and I say that very loosely because Donovan Mitchell's obviously around age 27. He's getting ready to hit his athletic prime. But when you're looking at situations like where's the most room for improvement, who is going to be hitting that contender status in the next couple of seasons, if not this season, it's Cleveland. Cleveland offers him the best chance to succeed when you look around the current landscape. So I think he will end up signing on the dotted line. But again, performances like tonight, where you're able to beat another pretty competitive team in the Brooklyn Nets, that can go a long way in convincing him to stay. But I get those questions are not going to die anytime soon. They're not going to go away until he signs on the dotted line or says he wants out. But that's a story for another day, right? That's not going to happen this season. You know what else is not going to happen this season? An Isaac Okoro rookie scale extension. For me, I got to say, I think the Cavs and Okoro probably should have gotten a deal done then. If Isaac has routine performances like this, or if they're consistent enough that he'll actually look good in next year's free agency class, teams are going to be throwing offer sheets at him. Feel however you want about that. Maybe you disagree with me, maybe you don't, but I honestly believe that could come back to bite them in the butt. Probably a gamble worth taking, though, because obviously with so much money tied up in some of these other contracts, you still have Donovan Mitchell obviously on the books. You have the Darius Garland extension, which is starting to look like a bargain, right? Considering some of the deals that have been handed out in the last couple of seasons. My gosh. You still got Jared Allen on the books. Karis LeVert just got a good, nice size deal. You just signed Max. George is on the books. You got to plan for the eventual Evan Mobley max contract, which apparently, according to Spencer Davies, can only be a 4-year deal because you still have the 2 rookie max extensions on the books in Darius and Donovan. But I say all that to say that it was a gamble worth taking, I suppose. I just hope it does not come back to bite them in the ass if Okoro does have a breakout season. Obviously, he got a ton of minutes tonight. I believe he played 32, but it remains to be seen if that's going to be a consistent thing all season. Probably not, because obviously the big guy out there, Jared Allen, missed tonight's game. Dean Wade, although I believe Dean Wade was probably not going to be included within the initial rotation to begin with, but he still is a guy that JB could have thrown some minutes to out there had he want to give a little bit of a change up at the backup 4, backup 5. And speaking of the backup 4, I would be remiss if I did not at least touch on the game that Georges Niang had. 20 minutes tonight, went scoreless, 4 rebounds. That's it. 0-3 from the 3-point line. And we know the book on not Max Strus, the book on Georges Niang is that he has 5 straight seasons of shooting 40% or above from beyond the arc, which is obviously one of the reasons why we signed him. He can space the floor. He can give you minutes at the power forward spot. He did that tonight. He gave you 20, but he went scoreless. I don't think he's going to have too many nights like that, to be honest with you. But again, like I was saying earlier, it's not just about the fact of whether or not you knock down a shot or not. It's about the threat of it, right? It's about, can you generate gravity? Obviously, he can do that. Yeah. I do too. Black Shug says, I think Niang will be fine. Just a rough night. Yeah, it happens. We saw that happen a couple of times in the preseason with Darius and Donovan Mitchell on different nights. Obviously, you don't want that to happen on a regular basis, especially in the regular season, but I think he'll be fine. He only took 3 attempts tonight, right? And some of the attempts just didn't look like his typical shot. Like, we know he's very comfortable in the corners, which is obviously a spot where you want Isaac Okoro to be very, very impactful from. But for Niang, a guy who can shoot that with a lot more volume than Okoro, you want him to knock down those shots, obviously. But again, it's not just about knocking them down. It's about generating gravity. It's about the very threat that the defense has to actually pay attention to you out there. And you didn't have that necessarily for most of the season last year, especially after Kevin Love was gone, right? And Dean Wade could not step in and fill his shoes. You know, the AC joint sprain kind of ruined his season. Um, Really interested to see what he looks like when he comes back, because Dean actually had an unbelievable preseason when you're talking about shooting. Shot above 50% from 3-point range this past preseason, if I'm not mistaken. And again, I don't truly believe he'll be included in the rotation in the early part of the season, but I do believe that he can give you good minutes when called upon, when healthy. But yeah, I mean, pretty solid night all around. Don't have too many complaints. Only thing I can really harp on is the Damian Jones minutes, but I think he'll clean that up. Only got 11 tonight, I believe. Fouled a couple of people, but I do believe that was more so some of the refs not really giving us good calls. But I mean, it happens. Just one game, first game of the season. The one thing that I will say is that I'm surprised that Ty Jerome only got 6 minutes tonight. And he had a nice floater out there. That's one of the things that I've noticed about him is that, you know, it's not just his ability to space floor too, but he actually has a really nice floater, guys. And he plays well defensively. He had a really nice stop earlier, but 6 minutes tonight, I wasn't quite expecting that. Levert played 31 minutes off the bench. Niang got 20. Jones got 11. Jerome only got 6. Curious to see how that plays out all season long. And obviously, he was the 9th man. And we know, sheesh, my voice is going out. We know that his minute totals will be up and down like the rest of this bench unit because it's going to be entirely dependent upon what you need out of them. Because basically, Levert is almost like your 6th starter out there. And he didn't play too well tonight from a shooting standpoint. 11 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 of 17 from the field. My gosh, got to clean that up. Suffered from some of the same issues that he did at the start of last season, and that's finishing around the rim. Would have hoped to see that kind of uptick a little more to start the season out. But again, just one game, too small of a sample size to be worried about anything. And honestly, too small of a sample size to definitively say anything at all about any of these guys. So before we overreact here and say that any of these guys is a done deal, we do have to acknowledge the fact that it is just one game, right? As hype as I am, I understand Isaac Okoro giving you 18, 6, and 4 on 6 of 10 from the field and 2 of 4 from 3-point range. That may not be his stat line every single game. But as long as guys are being impactful, as long as it's contributing to wins and not losses, right? I'm okay with it. And we'll monitor these things as the season goes on, and we can make a little bit more of a definitive response to some of these things. Like, is Isaac Okoro going to experience a breakout? Is Max Strus the best addition, from this past offseason? Will Evan Mobley take that offensive lead? And, I didn't really say anything about Evan tonight because 10 points, 6 boards, 5-11 from the field, 2 blocks. We had a pretty decent game. But not necessarily something, just 10 points. You would have hoped to see him attack a little bit more. But that was not necessarily something that was required of him tonight. So you live with what you get out of these guys as long as it contributes to a win. Man, I just feel good. Honestly, I feel really good about the direction that this team is headed in. There's not necessarily anything you can tell me right now that will have me feeling down because it was just such a wonderful performance. And for Cleveland, you look ahead in the schedule, the team is going to be taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder on Friday. That's going to be a tough matchup because they do present some size issues. If you don't have Jared Allen back out there, you don't have Dean Wade back out there, you're going to have some difficulties facing off against Chet, Jalen Williams, Shai, those guys, and that's not even mentioning Josh Giddey. So Looking forward, might be a tough matchup on Friday, but I feel damn good heading into it. Yes, Dr. Claw in closing, those Okoro stats were kind of surprising in retrospect. Yeah. Did I think he was going to drop 18 tonight? No, I didn't, especially starting and being out of position. But he did what was asked of him, right? He attacked in transition. He drove on, attacked closeouts, knocked down the three when it was provided to him, and he rebounded the ball very well tonight. Moved the ball very well too, along with his trademark, stellar point of attack defense. So, did I expect him to be that impactful out of the gate? No, but I'm very, very excited because I get to say fuck you to some of these people out there keep routinely telling me that Isaac is not improved. And again, yes, I know it's just one game, but makes me feel good. It validates my praise of him because kid's 22. People just are so quick to throw guys off or write them off because they're not stars right out of the gate. Seriously. I don't understand it. I never will. My thing that I always say to people is, were you the same person as you are now? If you're like, 30 or above, were you the same person that you were at 22 as you are now? Probably not. At least I hope not. I hope you learned some shit. I hope you developed. And obviously, basketball, sports, it's way different from a developmental standpoint, but the same rules apply. People develop at different rates. And Isaac Okoro could be another case study in that. If he morphs into a very, very solid 3-and-D wing, great for the Cavs. They will retain him. If he doesn't, you can package him up at a later time. But as of right now, I just don't get why people are so down on the kid. That said, I think that's a good stopping point as we take a look at the Oklahoma City Thunder on Friday. But if you want to reach out to me, you can. It's Cavalier_pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, more. If you want to reach out and join the Discord chat, you know what to do. Leave a rating, leave a review, send a screenshot of said review to itscavalier53@gmail.com, and I'll send you the invite. That said, thanks for chilling with me tonight, guys. Go Cavs.